Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Honourable Minister please confirm for this Honourable House the total amount that the government will pay to the Fairmont Southampton employees to support their redundancy payments?
Thank you, Member. Minister?
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
as has been already reported in the media, total payments to support redundancy obligations to employees of West End Properties, otherwise known as the Fairmont Southampton, are expected to approximate $11 million.
Thank you. Supplementary?
Does the Minister of Government have any intentions of supporting any other employer who is facing challenges with redundancy payments?
Minister?
Mr. Speaker, given that there are approximately 700 employees affected by the turn of events at Southampton Princess or the West End Properties, the government views these as exceptional special circumstances. So it is not our intention to make this support available to every situation with respect to redundancies and employee issues.
Thank you. Supplementary?
Yes, we have one from the former Premier Tanner.
Honourable Member, would you like to put your question?
Yes, can you hear me, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much and good morning. Minister, who initiated the decision to loan the $11 million to Southampton Princess? Where was it initiated?
Minister?
Mr. Speaker, there has been no loan made to Southampton Princess.
To the employees?
Yes, to the employees, then. Just correct that.
Okay. The decision was mine.
Okay.
Supplementary?
Yes, supplementary. To that, were all the decision makers, and if it was your decision, were you aware of any political donations made to PLP by persons affiliated with Fairmont Southampton?
Mr. Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, I am not aware of political donations made to the BLP. I would say this, though, to the honourable member. I'm the Minister of Finance of the Government of Bermuda, not the Treasurer for the Progressive Labour Party. Those questions should be directed towards the Treasurer of the party.
Thank you.
Your two supplementaries.
I have a
Leader, you have one supplement. Did you want to make a second, or you want to go into your second question?
Speaker, I have a supplementary.
Is that MP Donkey?
Yes.
Would you like to put your supplementary?
Yes, sir. The Honourable Finance Minister.
Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
I'm sorry, we couldn't see the former members. I see MP Donkey, but we couldn't see MP Cannonier.
Yeah. Remember your cameras, members.
Yes. It takes some time for your camera to kick in occasionally, Mr. Speaker.
You better put your question.
The Honourable Finance Minister mentioned that it was his decision to make the payments. So a question to the Honourable Finance Minister. What discussions were in advance of making these payments? Was it initiated by the owners of the property, or was it started by other members involved in the scenario?
Understand?
Speaker, could the honourable member repeat the question, please? I'm confused as to what the essence of the question is.
You could just put your question.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, the honourable minister said that it was his decision to make the payments. So my question goes back before that. Who initiated the discussion on making the payments? Did it come from the owners of the property or another source?
Minister?
Mr. Speaker, I became aware, as did most of us, that there was going to be a delay in making payments to the employees. Sensing that there was a potential to be a problem, I, with my team, decided on working towards a solution. We certainly had some discussions with the owners because we were concerned around their failing to meet the October 23rd payment date. And so in the spirit of trying to ensure that we took care of employees who at that point had not been paid, we wanted to ensure that they would get their payments by November the 20th. Honorable members will be aware that in the height of the pandemic, the Ministry of Finance stood up a team to be positioned to provide payments to a number of persons who were unemployed. And so the infrastructure, the process, the ability to make payments in a fairly short period of time was already available at the Ministry of Finance. And we took the opportunity to use the capabilities to provide for the people at West End Properties.
Thank you. Supplementary? No further supplementary. Officer Sneed, would you like to go to your second question now?
Will the honorable minister please table for this honorable house?
If you can, you're having problems hearing the question.
Okay. Will the honorable minister please table for this honorable house the written agreement between GenCom Limited and the Bermuda government, which confirms that GenCom Limited will reimburse the government of Bermuda for the total amount paid to the Fairmont Southampton employees for their redundancy payments?
Thank you. Minister?
Mr. Speaker, as I've mentioned in my reply to the first question, or supplementary questions to the first question, there is no agreement between the government of Bermuda and GenCom. There is no agreement between the government of Bermuda and West End Properties. What does exist is an agreement between each employee who received redundancy and the government of Bermuda.
Thank you. Supplementary?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, supplementary from MP Richardson? Yes?
You have something?
Mr. Speaker, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. If Fairmont Southampton cannot find the funds to pay for severance of Bermudian workers, how are we assured that they're going to find the funds to renovate the hotel?
Minister?
I can't provide that assurance. The responsibility for finding the funds to renovate the hotel rests with the owners of the hotel.
You finished?
Yeah.
Supplementary, anyone?
Yes, I have a supplemental.
Yes, good, Officer Leader.
So at this point, Mr. Speaker, can the Minister of Finance confirm that the only recourse that he has at this point of time, other than going to court, is to recover the funds from the employees of Fairmont Southampton?
Minister?
I cannot confirm that, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Supplementary or new question?
So can supplementary?
Yeah.
Can the minister confirm his pathway that he intends to take to recover the funds on behalf of the government of Bermuda?
Mr. Speaker, all employers have an obligation to provide for their employees in the event of redundancy. That obligation existed before the government stepped in and continues to exist. Inasmuch as the employer does not find a way to make the payments, the government, by way of the agreements that is entered into with the employees, will pursue all actions available to it in these circumstances or in any other circumstances in which employees are owed money by their employees or money is owed to the government by taxpayers. We'll exhaust all remedies, including going to court.
Thank you. Supplementary?
Mr. Speaker, supplementary.
Supplementary from
MP Fairmont.
MP Fairmont, put your supplementary.
Yes, Honorable Minister, given the answer you just gave, does that mean that the government, if it pays the 11 million, will expect a payment from the hotel owners of the 11 million? And if so, what will happen?
Minister?
Mr. Speaker, perhaps it was a bit of an oversight by the honourable member, but I believe it is appropriate for him to disclose his interest.
Ooh.
I'm very happy to do so. My law firm does represent the hotel, and I have no involvement whatsoever in the representation of that client.
Okay. Because of your affiliation with the company, we should always try and declare interest when we have such.
Quite right, quite right. I agree with the Honourable Minister.
Continue, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, can the honourable member repeat the question, please?
Question is, given the answer the Honourable Minister just gave, what does he envisage will happen if...
Mr. Spearman, your camera should also be on, Mr. Spearman.
Sorry, it should be on. Can you see me, Mr. Speaker?
No, MP is not on.
All right, let me try again. Can you see me now, Mr. Speaker?
No, now we can, yes.
Yes, I apologize. What does the minister envisage will happen if the government pays the 11 million, and then the hotel owner is then in position to pay the 11 million? Will it be paid?
We will exercise the remedies available to us. I will again reiterate that the employer has an obligation under the Employment Act and the collective bargaining agreement to pay employees monies that are due to them resulting from redundancy. And so inasmuch as the employer is not prepared to make the payments, we will exercise all remedies available to us.
Supplementary?
Yes, supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary? Yes, it's a supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the discussions with GenCom, did they give any reason why they were delayed or not able to make the redundancy payments?
Mr. Speaker, we are all aware that we are living through a pandemic that has been, I would say, tremendously, probably an understatement, tremendously disruptive for all of us in terms of our everyday existence. And this disruption has extended to the tourism sector broadly. It has also extended to the financing markets. And so I would say that there has been some challenge in respect of finding appropriate financing sources at prices for which investors or operators are prepared to pay. And so it's my understanding that the owners are exhausting their options to find appropriately priced capital to move this project forward.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker?
The second supplementary, yes.
Yes, sir. Based on that answer, is there any requirement of the owners to update the government on access to this capital and to step in to pay the employees and get government off the hook?
There is no, Mr. Speaker, there is no legal agreement. I would expect that in the spirit of partnership, us being the government and the jurisdiction in which the hotel operators or owners own more than one property, that they would keep us abreast of the developments in their financing activities. We have gone out to them as recently as last week and have not had a response back in terms of how the financing is going.
Thank you. Any further supplementary? We'll move on to the third question. Opposition Leader, would you like to put your third question now?
You're on mute.
Yeah, we're trying to unmute you there. Okay.
You're still on mute.
You're on mute. Okay.
Will the Honourable Minister please provide for this Honourable House the details on why he questioned GenCom's limited willingness to reimburse the government of Bermuda for the redundancy payments, given that he indicated that he would not rule out pursuing collection through Bermuda's courts?
Thank you, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it is public record that employees were owed the funds by West End Properties on the 23rd of October 2020. That date having passed was evidence of financial difficulties. It is not a question of willingness. It is an obligation to protect the rights owing to the employees and by extension to the government having advanced them the funds. I would say this, inasmuch as there is anyone who owes the government or employees money, the government will pursue, through whatever remedies are available to it, whatever actions are required to get those payments made.
Supplemental. Would the government consider placing a lien on the property until the funds are recouped?
Mr. Speaker, you're now on mute.
Yes, we're resolving a technical matter here. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the government will take legal advice and will be guided by that advice in taking whatever appropriate steps are deemed necessary to get the money back.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary, or you're good?
I'm good, thank you.
Everyone's good? That brings us to a close of the first question, written question that was put this morning from the opposition leader to the Minister of